Hey y'all, we're back out in the garage. Beautiful day today. We're up over 60 on the back wall, so she's warming up. We got the doors open. It was warmer outside than it was in the garage when I opened the door today. So we got the old spindles back on just for loading purpose. What we're going to do is we talked to our buddy Ed McGlone down in Georgia, Jaguar Karts, and asked if there was a predetermined number unloaded on the stand of this to be set at an angle for your kingpin to be set at, that once you load the cart it'll, and he said no, every cart, especially old carts, are all of them have a different amount of flex to them. So what we had to do was either block up the kingpin, or in this case this lever, having a longer lever gives you even more leverage. What we did is we'll get this thing on the ground. We get the tires on and all that stuff. We'll get it on the floor when Rich gets home from work, and we'll put some blocks of wood underneath each of these stub axles out on the end, or somewhere where the wheel is gonna, the hub and wheel is gonna be centered. And we'll zero out the angle gauge on the rear axle, and then we'll see what this one says, and we'll see what this one says, and then we'll put Rich or somebody in a go-kart with some weight on it and see how much more angle gets added to it, how much that it gains by loading some weight in it. I mean, Richie really doesn't even lay in it. We could just put a piece of cardboard here with a piece of wood on it so we don't scratch up any paint, and just have him stand on it. That'll do it. I mean, I weigh a little more than he does, and he's shorter than me. So, this is just going to give us an idea. What we don't want to do is weld the spindles together and have the wheels tilted in or tilted out. And certainly, if we weld them at zero, and obviously it's going to have some kind of give, we just don't know how much. So before we go ahead and finish fit these angles to the hangers or the yokes, we want to know what that flexible number is, right? So if it's I'll use a round number. Let's say it's we zero out here, have Richie stand on it, and it goes 0.5 in half a degree in either direction. That way we know to put half a degree out on the spindle, on the stub axle angle. When we get it up on the stand again, zero on the axle, we set this up again, and we'll get the stub axles at half a degree positive, which would be tipping a tire out. So, and then go ahead and weld them together, and then once we get everything put together and put a load on it, it should be at zero. And that's where we want it. We want it at zero. If it's got, according to Ed, for road racing, for sprint racing, a degree of negative top tipped in camber is not really all that much. I mean, he says sprint racing, you probably run a little more than that. But for road racing, he says he wouldn't go more than a degree in. So, and Ed's a chassis guy, man. He's been building chassis for a long, long time. So we're going to take, that's why I waited for him to get on the road home from Roebling Road and racing over the weekend to give me a buzz and let me know what's going on. And where we should start with this. He said, like I said, there's just no given number. You weld spindles for the dirt carts that he builds. You're building a new chassis. You're building it all out of the same type of tubing, all dimensionally exactly the same from the same fixture. You build the spindles the same. It's just like anything else. Back in the old days, guys at kart shops used to get a skid of McCullough's in, and they'd open all the boxes and go and take the motors apart and look for the good ones, and then they'd put the boxes back, and sell the ones, kept the good ones, the better ones for themselves. I mean, that's what you get. You'll get that in production. You'll get some that are made on a Monday or made on a Friday that maybe aren't as good as the ones made on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But that's where we're at. We're waiting for Rich to get home. I just thought I'd bring you a little hot tip of the day. What I'm doing here is I'll sit you down right on top of the little fixture here. is that when you bore these holes, you'll get a little burr, right? I mean, you take a file and you sand the burr off the inside and the outside edge. How do you get that burr off the inside of there? Pretty sweet. What I did here is I dropped the old step drill in, and that's right, folks. Tighten her down. Am I going the right way? Which way am I going here? Come on, Bubby. Here we go. Go easy, easy. And then just, you gotta make sure you got it in reverse. And just take that little burr off, right? And it looks really good. Works really nice. Let me see if I can get you right on in there. Yeah, it works really good. So, yeah, we'll do it to the other side here. Little hot tip of the day, the RPM bench tip of the day, I guess you'd say. I don't know. It's you do what you got to do out of necessity, right? I mean. You could get in there with a round file, I guess. Gotta go in reverse, bub. You can get in there with a round file and start garring the daylights out of everything if you want to, I guess. But me, I'm always looking to cheat the system, right? So here we go. Looks nice. No burr. Burr's gone. Won't have any problems. Let me take you down from here and show you what we got going on. I turned it sideways because we're getting this afternoon sun coming in the window and kind of messing things up a little bit. I got the light here with the other one. That's our kingpin we're going to use in the cart. We're trying to, I just made up this little pivot deal so we can get the kingpin angle right. You know, obviously these you've seen, we've been working on the cutting and grinding, sanding the angle of the stub axle in. We've gone ahead and marked the center. I don't know if you can see that or not there. We've marked the center of the yoke or the hanger. So we're going to have even amount of beef on either side. That's where Richie's going to weld them on. And now, of course, we've got this line here that we've determined from the old spindle. Yeah, I got a little, I don't know, template, fixture, whatever you want to call it. I pick a side that the cleanest side. See, this one looks a little funky, so we'll weld the brakes and all that stuff to that side. If this is going to be the front side of the cart, right, and the brake bracket's going to go on the back, then we want it this way. I don't think we can do, well, yeah, we can transfer it. What I did is I used the tube here to get it all lined up, to mark the corners of the tube and the inside, right? And then I transferred where the stub axle is located on the old one. It's a little, just as you can see, just a little past, just a little north of halfway. And what I'll do is I took the marker, I just put a dot, and I took my square, it's here somewhere, and just went right around it, you know, running the marker line right around it from the inside all the way up and around and everything. And that's going to give us our height. But it's not in stone. We didn't scribe it on there yet because what we're going to do when we get this thing on the ground and we do the load testing and all that, we'll actually get something under here to make sure the ride height is good and flat. It's not doing a wheelie or it's not going to be scraping the ground. And then we'll note, you know, what's going on here. And that'll help us to make sure we put them in the right spot. Now, I told you these yokes are far bigger, 3/8 of an inch more space to adjust up and down than the old one. So if we just put them, you know, center them like we're doing here, theoretically speaking, we should be okay. And that's more than likely what we're going to do if we can't get a definitive different answer from what we're going to find with this load test deal. So as you can see, yeah, as we're putting it together, I'm scraping the paint off it. These ridiculous junk spindles are just, now you know why they had to go. You know what I mean? It's just cobbled pieces of garbage. I had to grind all the weld out the inside of here so it didn't scar up my paint job on the inside of there. They're in such bad shape. But that's why we're putting the new spindles on. And I tell you, after going ahead and grinding all that weld off. You see that big crack on the inside of there? It was all just buried under a bunch of weld, folks. That's what I was driving on up there at Grattan in October. These fudged spindles. I mean, I believe, you know, everything happens for a reason. I'm a Christian guy, right? And so, you know, maybe there's a reason why the motor blew up after third ride. Because if I'd have drove it all day, maybe the thing would have broke and, you know, I'd be in traction right now. Traction's good, though. Good traction. But that's it. We're just waiting on Richie to get home, messing around with some other things over here, just getting things ready to go. We'll start tacking and welding the pivot deal for the kingpin on. We'll get that going. This is what we're going to do is we're going to use key stock. After we get this on, that'll dictate where this is going to go. We're just going to clamp. Although Kenny gave these to us, these are nice gauge base angles and stuff. I mean, these are all precision ground stuff. I don't want to weld on them. I don't really want to drill and tap or anything either. So what we'll do is we'll weld some guides on this thing, on the plate, to keep the this straight, and then we'll vice grip clamp. Well, I'm going to weld a piece of tubing to the bottom of this, and we'll put it right in the vise, right? Because all we're really doing is getting everything lined up straight this way, angle correct this way, right? Tack, 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 tack. And then it's off to Richie. Richie's going to take it to work and do the TIG welding because we don't have a TIG welder here. You know, maybe one day down the road, you know, things change. Economy looks like it's going to be stable for a while. Then we'll pull the trigger. I talked to my low neighborhood buddy, Brian Allen, over the weekend. How you doing, Brian, if you're looking in? And he agreed that, you know, man, Robert, life's too short. That's what you want to do. You want to do your own little speed sports shop and all that stuff, and work on non-DOT stuff, and cut, grind, and weld, and fabricate, and do just, you know, just play around. But don't worry about sinking or swimming. He said, you'll do it. You know, he ran a business, a hardware store up north, and he said, you'll do whatever you got to do to make it work. So, you know, once you get going, you'll keep it going. So I think that's what we'll do. Maybe me and Rich can, once I get up and running, Rich can 86 his joint, and him and Kenny and everybody, we can all come work together and do this kind of stuff. And, you know, who knows? Who knows? Build go-karts and do a ride and drive, rent rides and all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'd also like to do a full-time, I'd really like to be full-time doing track day stuff, renting tracks all over the country and traveling with an RV and the trailer on the back and doing everything from a computer and you know, just every 2-3 months, another state, another track. I mean, you could head out west or down south for the winter and just do it all year, you know, just do it all year. So that's the wish list stuff, you know, but that's it. We'll bring you some more later, the results of what we find. Remember when I got this thing, there was a tube welded across here, right? Because they said the cart was too flexible. I drove it without that tube. It felt fine to me. But we'll see just how flexible this thing is. Could we see 2 degrees? You know, 2.5, 1.5. What are we going to see? Place your bet down below, guys. We'll talk to you later. Hang in there. God bless. I'm praying for you.